If I gave you $1,000 and you had to choose one of these three Michael Jordan cards, which one would you choose? I give you my choices in order, and I tell you why. I am relying on you guys in the comments to let me know what order you would choose if you were strictly choosing from these three Michael Jordan cards in the $1,000 price range from an investor perspective. Enjoy the video. We're going to start doing some more of these videos over the next couple of weeks, and I think you guys are going to like them.
See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. We know what you want because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Card Ladder. Join the innovators, not the imitators.
Hey guys, Bryan with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. And as I mentioned in the introduction, this is going to be a new video series, and it's going to be a series. I think we're going to do a few of these. I'm going to see if these catch on. I think you guys are going to like these. We're going to pick 3 recent Michael Jordan card sales over the last 2 weeks in around the $1,000 price range. Today's episode is going to be the $1,000 price range. The next episode maybe a $10,000 price range or a $20,000 price range, or maybe it's a $250 price range. I don't know, but I'm going to pick 3 cards at random in that tight price range, and then I am going to tell you which order I would choose if I had to spend $1,000 on these 3 cards, the order that I would purchase, and more importantly, I'm going to tell you why. We're going to look at a lot of different factors. I'm going to kind of walk you through, you guys through what my thought process would be on these 3 particular cards and how I arrived at my order. And then in the comments, I want you guys to tell me why I'm nuts, why I'm crazy, why I'm just some dumbass that screams at the screen down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and why I don't know my ass from a hole in the wall. So I want to get your comments. Again, let's keep it polite, of course, but I want to know what order you guys would choose on these 3 cards. All right, let me just show you my process and how I'm getting here. Again, I use Card Ladder for all my data pricing. I'm an affiliate partner. You guys, if you don't have Card Ladder, go get on Card Ladder so you can do what I'm doing on this video today, which is look at anything and everything that's ever sold on any platform ever, right? That's what Card Ladder sales history provides me. When you do purchase your Card Ladder subscription, make sure to use the promo code CAJUN, all capital letters, in the checkout screen. It's real simple. It doesn't cost you any extra money, but at least those folks over at Card Ladder know that me and my big mouth down here in South Louisiana is doing my job. All right, so here's what I did. You guys can see I'm in the Card Ladder sales history tab. The only thing I typed in is Michael Jordan, PSA, BGS, and I put it in parentheses. So what that does for those of you who are even less tech savvy than me, it's going to pull up all the Michael Jordan cards that are either PSA or BGS graded, right, over the last, I did it from November 1st to November 12th. I'm recording this on November 12th. So a little bit less than 2 weeks worth of data. And I wanted them to be between $900 and $1,100. So we're comparing apples to apples, okay? And so again, I got what, 50 results right here you can see on your screen. So we got 50 choices to choose from. And I went through and I chose 3 of the sexiest cards in here. 3 of the cards that I thought would make for great conversation pieces and that I thought would make for a very difficult decision to be made, right? So, again, there's 50 of them. I just basically scrolled and chose 3 at random that sort of caught my eye that I thought would be an interesting compare and contrast. So let me show you the 3 cards that we're going to look at first. Then I'm going to talk you through the 3 cards. I'm going to tell you some of the thought process that sort of goes into choosing which of these 3 cards, like how my mind works. And then I want to know in the comments how your mind works. What did I leave out? And I can't talk about every single thing, but you'll just kind of get a general idea of how I approach, card buying when it comes to Michael Jordan world. First card, we've got a PSA 9, 1997 Skybox Premium Michael Jordan Competitive Advantage. Card number 2, we've got a 1997 Fleer Flare Hardwood Leaders. Card number 3, we've got the 1997 Bowman's Best Michael Jordan Mirror Image Atomic Refractor. Remember, there's only 12 atomics out there. This is one of those 12 atomics, probably the cheapest, in fact, certainly the cheapest of the 12 atomics, and it is in a PSA 10 condition. And as a little bonus, you get Ron Mercer, Stephon Marbury, and Gary Payton on this card as well. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Obviously, if this was just Jordan, it would probably be worth significantly more, but you would think adding a Hall of Famer on the back and then potentially a future Hall of Famer and Stephon Marbury, yeah, I know that sounds crazy, But remember, it's a basketball Hall of Fame, so I would not rule that out. It may not be by the time I die and leave this earth, but at some point, Stephon Marbury may get some consideration for his exploits overseas. And again, he was a hell of an NBA basketball player. All right, we're digressing. Competitive advantage, hardwood leaders, and then mirror advantage. So let's just start here by talking, and let me go back real quick. So these are some of the criteria that I think about, and this is not in any particular order. The number one thing I think about, and again, this is coming at it from a purely investor perspective, aesthetics matters. Even as an investor, aesthetics matters. Why does aesthetics matter? Because aesthetics is oftentimes the thing that catches a future would-be Jordan card buyer's attention. It's the first thing that stands out. If they see a card that is just absolutely eye-popping, for example, the 93 Scoring Kings, or the 95 Beam Team, or the Metal Universe, or something like that from 97, when they see a card that really jumps out and slaps them in the face, what does that do? It increases demand. It has no effect on the pop. It has no effect on the supply, but it can truly, truly massively increase demand. And what causes prices to go up or down? It's supply and demand. And so if you're affecting one half of the equation, aesthetics does matter. So aesthetics is criteria number one. It is not in order 1 through 10. I'm just going to give you some of the stuff that I think about. Number 2 is the print run or the pack odds. So let's run through the pack odds real quick on these 3 cards just so we lay that foundation. The pack odds right now are not something you can find on Card Ladder in their sales history or in their database, but where you can find it is, wait for it, yes, the Michael Jordan Cajun Cardboard hierarchy poster on the back. All 3 of these cards, by the way, just happen to be Michael Jordan hierarchy cards that appear in the hierarchy, right? The 4 tiers, over 300 cards, Michael Jordan's best inserts and parallels from the 90s. The only tier 3 card in here is going to be the competitive advantage that you see on your screen here. This is going to be a tier 4, the 97 hardwood leaders. This is going to be a tier 4, the 97 Bowman's best atomic refractor 4-player right there. So let's talk about pack odds. Well, the pack odds for the competitive advantage is 1 in 1,440. What does that mean? That means on average, if you opened up 1,440 packs of 1997 Skybox Premium, you could pull a Michael Jordan competitive advantage, right? It's not just a competitive advantage. These are the Michael Jordan pack odds. So 1 in 1,440, that seems like a lot. The hardwood leader is a 1 in 174. So a much more obtainable card from ripping wax from 1997 Fleer Flare. 1 in 174. So about 1/8, 1/9, or I guess, yeah, 1/9. The competitive advantage is about 1/9 as rare. Or 9 times as rare, I guess would be the word. Mirror Atomic is 1 in 9,220. So if you're comparing pack odds amongst the 3 cards, the Atomic Refractor is certainly the rarest, followed by the competitive advantage. And then this Flare Hardwood Leader is way, way, way behind. So you're definitely dealing with a much easier card to get your hands on right here in the middle with the Flare Hardwood Leaders. What's next? Well, we look at total graded. How many total cards have been graded amongst these cards? And by the way, if we go back to aesthetics, I'm going number 1 is the Hardwood Leaders, and it's not close. This is, again, aesthetics is subjective, right? So hardwood leaders is far and away, in my personal opinion, number 1. It's not close. Number 2 would be competitive advantage, which is die cut. For those of you that can't tell from the picture, this is a die cut Jordan card. It's great. It's got the columns. Again, I never know if it's Doric or Ionic. I know it's not Corinthian. It's not ornate enough, right? I know enough about Roman mythology or Greek mythology or whatever these freaking columns are that it's either Doric or Ionic. Some nerd in the comments can let me know. And then this would be the third card from an aesthetic standpoint. Atomics are awesome, refractors are awesome, but the fact that it's got Jordan and it's got Mercer upside down, it's just kind of, this is about as low on the aesthetics as you could possibly get. And then on the back, you got, of course, Marbury and Gary Payton, the glove. So aesthetics is real easy for me. It's here, and then here in that order, right? Now, what's next? I go look at the total graded. This matters. Why does it matter? Because the more graded there are, the higher the supply. So you look at the pack odds, you look at the potential print run, and then usually the graded pop report total will be some indication of the print run, right? Because even if a card has a, like for example, this Mirror Atomic has a 1 in 9,000 1 in 1,920 pack odds, and the competitive advantage has a 1 in 1,440 pack odds. That doesn't necessarily mean there's not more of the Bowman's Best atomic refractors. They may have made more packs of 1998 Bowman's Best than they did of 1997 Skybox Premium. In fact, I'm almost positive that they did, right? So let's look at the total graded. And this is something great that you can always find on Card Ladder. You hit the little book. Total graded population, 487. Total graded population on this hardwood leaders, 710. And I have a feeling that's, again, because for the longest time, for decades, this is probably not a card that people would grade. So 710 is more than 487. And then the Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor pack total population graded, 236. So true to the pack odds, it looks like the Atomic is probably the lowest print run card, as well as the lowest or the toughest pack odds, right? So total graded population is another factor to consider. The fourth factor that I consider is the gem percentage. And this is another place where Card Ladder just sort of exceeds the competition. You can see the gem percentage. Look at the Beckett gem rate for the Atomic Refractor, 89.77%. I don't think I've ever noticed that, guys, right there. The PSA is 41.01%. That is still a huge, very high pack odds gem rate percent. Very high gem rate percentage for a Michael Jordan 90s insert or parallel. What about the hardwood? 8% and 22%. 8%, anytime you get into single digits for PSA, you start talking about tough stuff. Next, we've got the 19.92% and then 50%. So in all three of these cases, BGS grades these cards significantly more leniently than PSA does. But 19% PSA, 8.5% PSA, and then 41% PSA. So huge advantage here for the hardwood leader PSA 10. Huge advantage here for the competitive advantage. Now, even though it's not a PSA 10 card, why does the gem percentage still matter? Well, because it tells you how many PSA 10s are actually higher graded than the PSA 9 competitive advantage that we're looking at today. There's 49 PSA 10s out there, and there's only, there's 126 PSA 9s. Even though this is not a PSA 10, the gem percentage still matters because we're still going to make sure how many of them are out there. In other words, if the gem percentage on this was 1, and there was only 4 or 2 PSA 10 competitive advantages out there, well, that would make me want the PSA 9 significantly more, because that tells me it's a very difficult card to grade. So a PSA 9 competitive advantage may mean a hell of a lot more to me than a PSA 9 of this hardwood leaders, right? That would mean a lot more if the gem percentage was significantly lower. The grading scarcity would make it more valuable. Does that make any sense? All right, next thing to consider is Gem 10 versus PSA 9 or BGS 9.5 pricing ratios. And this is sort of getting a little more nuanced. And again, remember, these criteria that I'm looking at are not necessarily in order, but in this particular circumstance, you're looking at a PSA 10 is about 3,900. You're looking at a PSA 9, it's about 1,000. You're looking at about a 4-to-1 ratio from a PSA 10 to a PSA 9. Here on the PSA 10 to PSA 9, we don't really have it in front of us. I'm guessing the PSA 9 is going to be less than $100, almost certainly. If I go back here and I type in PSA 9, I bet it's probably $100, something like that. Why is that not pulling? Oh, because it didn't sell in the last 2 weeks. Let's kill that. Let's go leaders and see what happens. 124, $100. So I nailed that. Wow, I look really smart right there. So it's about a 10-to-1 ratio. So here from PSA 9 to a PSA 10, 4-to-1 ratio. Here from PSA 9 to a PSA 10, 10-to-1 ratio. And then here on the Atomic Refractor, we've got to look this one up as well because it's not in the Card Ladder database. We know a PSA 10 is about 1,000. What is a PSA 9? Hasn't sold in the last 2 weeks. PSA 9 is about 550. So it's about a 2-to-1 ratio. So not a big number there at all. So just another factor to consider, another thing to look at. If that ratio from a PSA 10 to a PSA 9 is huge, like 10-to-1, 20-to-1, something ballistic like that, then that sort of makes the, the PSA 10 mean more. It also sort of makes you wonder, hey, maybe the PSA 9's got a lot of room to grow because there's very few PSA 10s and we can't get there. And this is 1/20th of a PSA 10. Maybe it should be 1/10th. Maybe it should be 1/4th, something like that. So it might lead you to believe that the long-term future of a potential PSA 9 copy right here of the competitive advantage has some room to grow. But this ratio is relatively pedestrian at a 4-to-1 ratio, and that's the only PSA 9 we're looking at. These are both PSA 10 cards, so that ratio, comparison is not going to matter too much to this exercise today. Public demand, we talked about that. Aesthetics matters. Which of these cards matters the most? Well, remember, this is the Tier 3 hierarchy card. The competitive advantage is a Tier 3 card. This is a Tier 4 card, and this is a Tier 4 card. Demand is the biggest criteria in the Michael Jordan hierarchy project, where it's sort of a culmination of a bunch of factors that dictate this, and it's really a subjective deal too, and it is not a perfect science, but gauging public demand is crucial, not just now, not just the current public demand, but the future public demand. It is crucial to an investment, right? You want to know if more and more people in the future are going to want the competitive advantage compared to the hardwood leaders or compared to the atomic refractor. And, that's a guessing game. It's a prognostication. There, add that to the vocabulary list, my friends. But we're really guessing, prognosticating, guesstimating what's going to happen in the future as far as human being desire to put one of these cards in their collection. And if you're asking me, from a desire standpoint, I think the Tier 3 card would trump the Tier 4 cards because I've already made this assessment when I put together the hierarchy project in the first place. And again, the hierarchy is not a perfect science, and it's not based purely on demand, but demand is the most important of the 4 criteria in the Michael Jordan hierarchy project, along with supply, price, and aesthetics, right? Next, we got base set demand. It doesn't matter where the card came from. The Skybox Premium, should Skybox Premium from 97, 97 Fleer Flare, and 97 Bowman's Best, should those sets matter? Well, hell yeah, they should matter. If a card came from an ordinary Topps pack on, all things being equal, and in this case, they're not all equal, but if all things were equal, the set that your particular insert or parallel comes from, that absolutely does matter. A, because the price point of that set and the feelings that people have about that base set will, in one way or another, influence the future value of an insert or parallel that comes from that base set. So on this one, it's not too great a disparity. I would say the Fleer Flare and the Bowman's Best were probably the least valuable. Maybe 97 Skybox Premium, probably the most expensive packs back then. I wasn't collecting cards back then. Like, unlike most Jordan collectors, I'm not chasing, ghosts and chasing shadows from when I tried to pull these cards from packs. I wish to God that I had that same story, but I wasn't opening packs of basketball cards in the 90s. So 97 Skybox Premium, 97 Bowman's Best, 97 Fleer Flare. It's sort of apples to apples when you're comparing those three. Now, if Metal Universe was in here, or, if another ultra high-end product was in here, and then one of these was like, say, Collector's Choice or something like that, well, that disparity would matter. In this case, the base set demand and the base set price point doesn't really make any distinction between these 3 cards. Recent price graph, up or down. Well, this is important to me. I want to know if a card's going up or down. And right now, we've only got the last 2 weeks on here. I want to look at the last year. And you would think it's actually inversely correlative or disproportionately, it's opposite, right? I want to see a card that's going down over the last year. People are like, well, Cajun, that doesn't make any sense. Don't you want to buy a hot card? No, I don't. I want to buy a card that I deem my card of choice, and I will love it when I see some red on the graph. This card's down 5.71% over the last 1 year. But again, look at this graph. This card had run all the way up to $1,400. So that makes me even more excited about this competitive advantage PSA 9, because this is a $1,400 card a few months ago, not even 2 months ago, right at 2 months ago. It's come all the way down. It sold at $932, but now it's settled here at $990, which is down from the last 2. Yeah, I'm going to take this $990, especially knowing that $1,400 is not too distant in the rearview mirror. Now, with these are not in the Card Ladder database, so it's going to be a little bit tougher. And so we're going to sort by date sold and we're going to go back to PSA 10. And then we're going to put 4 in here because I think it's card number 4. It is. And now we've got it based on date sold. So the most recent one sold for $1,000. Again, we're trying to compare apples to apples here. So we saw the 990 competitive advantage. We're $1,000 here, but that's $36. It is apples to apples. 1,000, 838, 1,000, 1,100, 1,125, 710, 1,100, 1,000, 930, 875, 820, 1,000, 1,300. So this is all over the place. So not much to sort of decipher from the recent pricing history of that one. What about the PSA 10 atomic refractor? Again, it's not in the card ladder database, so I don't have a fancy graph. So we're just going to have to figure it out. This card most recently sold for $1,250, $1,230. So this is the card that I chose. I think I chose the 990 sale right here. This card's actually sold for $1,250 and $1,230. That's his price. Sorry, let's get it right. 990 is down from $1,230, about the same here. Down from $1,250, 990, 727, 787, 898, 900, 949, 1,000, 850. So a lot of, it's kind of a muddy picture on that as well. So nothing really to decipher on any of these three as far as the price graph. Now, if one of these cards was down 40% over the last 6 months, that card would be more attractive, not less, more attractive to me because I would feel more confident in my entry point from an investor perspective. So recent price trends is another factor to consider. And then the last one we're going to consider is the hierarchy tiers. And again, this is going to sound like, me beating my chest or beating the drum for the Michael Jordan hierarchy that I've created and a lot of people have talked about and a lot of people are using in the way and the manner that they collect cards. I want to reiterate, this is not me telling people how to collect or which cards are more important than others. This is like an amalgamation, and there's another word for you, of a bunch of opinions from a bunch of much smarter Michael Jordan card collectors out there than me. It's the result of certainly hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of hours of research regarding Michael Jordan cards, pack odds, all of these criteria that we talked about, demand, price history, the set that it comes from, the print run, the graded pop report, all of these criteria that we just sort of talked through. And I've only talked through 9 different criteria. There's literally 15, if you really 20, 30, there's a million different ways to look at cards when you're trying to decide which card to buy. But where a card fits in the Cajun Cardboard hierarchy, for better or worse, whether you will like it or not, it does have an effect on what's going on in the secondary market right now. And that was certainly never my intention when I created the Cajun Cardboard hierarchy project. And it's still not my intention. My goal was not to raise the prices of cards that appear in the hierarchy. Now, that is is something that, subject to debate, may or may not have happened, on the secondary market, but that was certainly not my intention. My intention was to eliminate barriers to entry into the Michael Jordan market and to help people, sort of decipher which cards do I want. If I want to start collecting Michael Jordan cards, how do I even make a freaking educated decision? I just wanted to give them a springboard so they could get into this thing with us and have fun and do what we're doing. So, that being said, the hierarchy tier matters, and advantage, competitive advantage here is a tier 3 card, and these two are tier 4 cards. Whether you agree with that or not, that's something that you got to take into consideration. So around $1,000, all 3 of these cards, all things considered. I know this is going to sound crazy, but here's my answer. Are you guys ready? In order. Number 1, 97 Skybox Premium, competitive advantage. I'm choosing the PSA 9 over the PSA 10 for all of the reasons stated above. We went through at least 9 criteria. You could come up with 20 different criteria when you're making a decision from an investor perspective. This one checks the box of middle of the road pack odds, middle of the road aesthetics. And again, I say middle of the road. I mean, amongst these 3, this is kind of where I fit it. Total graded, it's looking really, really good on the low end. Middle of the pack though. Gem percentage, low. Not the lowest, but low. Gem 10 versus PSA 9, grade ratios. We saw it was about a 4-to-1. Public demand, I think this is probably the most in demand of these 3 cards. I really do. I think the pack odds are just too easy for this from a demand perspective. And I think that this card is just, to be quite honest with you, it's just not aesthetically pleasing enough, and it's too much clutter, and it doesn't make sense, and there's upside down players, and I don't think anybody likes that, right? So competitive advantage is probably going to win on the public demand side. Base set, we said there's not that much difference between 3 base sets. Recent price graph, I like it. It's down 5%. The others, you can't tell. That's really a hodgepodge. There was no distinguishing characteristics in the recent pricing trends from any of these 3 cards. And then hierarchy tier, it's tier 3 versus tier 4, and that does matter to me. Does it matter to everybody? Of Of course not. It probably won't. And there's a lot to digest when it comes to figuring out why a card is in a particular tier of the hierarchy. And remember, the cards within the hierarchy are not in any particular order in their particular tiers. And so all tier 4 cards are tier 4 cards. They're not listed or shown or displayed in order on the hierarchy poster. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you've never heard the Michael Jordan hierarchy, you don't know what poster I'm even talking about, go into the YouTube description to this video. You'll get more information there. I do suggest you at least pick a poster up, even if you don't collect Michael Jordan cards yet. If you think one day you might, I think it would be a great thing to display in your man cave or your office or just in your home, or maybe just keep it as a reference if you're curious. There are all of the details on how you can get one of these posters is in the description of this video. So this is card number 1. Card number 2, I am going to go with the Atomic Refractor. There's only 12 Atomic Refractor Jordans in existence during his playing years, and this is one of them. Refractors are parallels. Atomic Refractors are parallels of parallels, and so this is a parallel insert. The hardwood leaders, I think, is the best looking of the cards, but I think that the pop report might be a little misleading. There are only 48 10s, and it is a little hardest of the gem rates for sure. There's a lot of 9s right behind it. I think that the total graded population on this will grow at a much, much higher rate than, say, the total graded population of the Atomic Refractor, which is only 236. It's about 1/3 right now, but I think, 10 years from now, it may be 1/8 or something like that, because I think there's a lot of this card floating out there, and so scarcity comes into play when choosing between the hardwood leader and in this not quite as aesthetically pleasing Atomic Refractor, but again, set collecting comes into play. People who want to put together, well, I want all of the Atomic Refractors. And so this is one of those cards that's in that all of the 12 Atomic Refractors that you might need to put in your collection if you're one of those OCD nuts like me. So that's my order. Competitive advantage number 1. We've got the Atomic Refractor number 2. And then card number 3 is the hardwood leaders. Who would have ever thought that Bryan from Cajun Cardboard would ever choose a PSA 9 over 2 PSA 10s? You guys know me. You guys know I used to be a grade snob. But this is my choice. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious of all of the criteria that I discussed, which there were 9 of them. Which of the ones do you think are the most important, right? Obviously, gauging future public demand is the answer. Like that's what we're trying to do here, is which of these cards is going to be most in demand in the future. But you also have to put your finger on the supply. And sometimes you got to look at the graded pop reports to understand, just because fewer hardwood leaders have been, 700 hardwood leaders have been graded today, it's more likely hardwood leaders is going to go from 700 to 1400 than, the Atomic Refractor will double. It's just not going to happen. And so that's something you've got to just know from spending time in cards and whatnot. But which of the criteria do you think is the most important? Aesthetics is big. Public demand is big. Recent price history is big. Total graded gem percentage, PSA 10 to PSA 9 ratio, etc. There's a million things to consider when you're trying to figure out the right Michael Jordan cards to buy from an investment perspective. I want to know in the comments which of these 3 cards and in what order would you guys choose. Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys as always for watching. Let me know in the comments if you like these videos. It probably ran a little longer than it should have, but it's because it's the first one. So the next time we run through 3 cards like this, I don't think I'm going to spend quite as much time explaining all the different criteria. We'll just jump through it, and I'll kind of show you my thought process, and I'll give you my 3 in order. And then really, this is more about the comments and the engagement that I think we can get out of this, and almost, collect cards together and kind of make a decision together. And again, I have no dog in this hunt. I have a 10 of every one of these cards. So it's not, I don't care. I didn't pick one because one benefits me more than the other. You guys know me. If you've watched my channel for long enough, you know that, my own personal, collection never factors into the content in the videos that I do. If anything, I'm the idiot, who brought way too much attention to some of the tier 1 and tier 2 cards that I still need to purchase that I do not own. So if anything, it's the opposite of a pump and dump. It's a pump and buy, where I am running into the burning building, and now I am paying higher prices for cards that I never owned in the first place. Some of the cards that I respect and admire the most in the hobby, I do not own those cards. So for those of you who are new to the channel and are watching this video, if you're about to comment, this guy owns a competitive advantage PSA 9, you know, he just wants that card to get attention. That is stupid, and you guys should know better after watching my channel. And again, I shouldn't have called anybody stupid, but that's not me, and those of you who have watched the channel should know that's not me. This is simply a conversation piece about 3 pretty cool Michael Jordan cards that are out there. And again, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these 3 cards. All of these 3 cards have nice, you know, comfy, you know, populations in the particular grades that we shared today. So let me know what you think in the comments, which one of these 3 cards you would choose, and let me know if you want me to do some more future episodes of these. And like I said, maybe we move the price point to 500, maybe we move the price point to 2,500 or 5,000 or 10,000. Maybe we throw Kobe Bryant in here and we play choose one with Kobe Bryant. Maybe we play choose one with Antoine Carr. You know, no, I'm just kidding. Maybe we choose Kobe. Maybe we choose Shaq. Maybe we move to Rodman. Maybe we do some other players. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys want? I'm always trying to give the people what they want in addition to the most consistent content in the basketball card hobby. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby, and peace.